Alright, it's time to do some grade. So I got me a bridge built here to cross over the footer with the backhoe. So I know that I'm still pretty high over there, and so I'm wanting about at least 4 inches of gravel underneath the concrete slab. I'm gonna peel some of that dirt up till I know I can get my 4 inches, and I'm gonna be pouring a 6-inch slab on top of that. So well, the camera batteries died, so missed a little bit of the time lapse, but anyways, so I got the grade all done. So at its thinnest point there will be 4 inches of gravel, which is over there, and on this side it'll be 6 to 7 inches of gravel, which that's going to work out great because all my plumbing is going on this end of the building, and I think it would be a lot easier to dig through gravel and have my plumbing sit in gravel rather than have to try and toil through the dirt. So I got some more loads of gravel coming. He's already brought me 2 and dumped in here, so I'm gonna get them spread out. Well, Dad came to help me, so he's taking over on the backhoe. So over here in the lean-to portion, we're taking it down a few inches just to make sure that it's going to be a little bit lower when it comes up to the slab by the time I add gravel in here. So I'm going to work on getting everything squared up for the forms. So I got my batter boards set here. See how low they are over here and how high I got them set over here. Makes it a little more apparent, the grade change. Just a tip, when you're doing your batter boards, you might go ahead and shoot some spray paint on them so the concrete truck or your worker guys don't kick them, because that would be kind of upsetting. So let's get started squaring this thing up. So a note when you're setting up your batter boards is to use your laser or your string and bubble and make sure all your batter boards are at the exact same grade. It'll make setting your forms up super easy. Also, having a nice wide batter board will make it convenient for adjusting your string. Now I'm making all my loops with the bowline knot, so that's what it looks like. I'm not going to show you how to tie it because I'm not very good at it. When you're pulling these strings, you want to make sure they're really tight because you don't want any kind of sag as it gets out there 40-50 feet. Now if your string's not tight enough, you can just leave that hoop there and just tie another bowline knot till you get your proper stretch. So I got my string lines ran. So next step is to get the actual building dimensions right down and square. So my actual building dimensions will be 50 foot and 3 inches by 80 foot and 3 inches, and that's just to accommodate for the nailer that will be going on the outside of the posts. So my post will be set exactly at 50 foot and 80 foot. Now I'm also going to be running my string line on the outside of the form board, so I need to accommodate another 1.5 inches on each side, since the 2x4 is 1.5 inches wide. So I'll be setting up these string lines at 80 feet and 6 inches and 50 feet and 6 inches. So I'm using the Pythagorean Theorem to get this building squared up. Now the purpose of this is so you don't have a building that has all the correct outside dimensions, but it's all wonky. So the Pythagorean Theorem, you can find a calculator online to tell you what this measurement should be, but you're measuring from corner to corner. Now these measurements will be the same, and based on your outside dimensions, you can use that calculator to tell you what exactly this measurement should be. So as you're adjusting strings, you'll be doing a lot of walking back and forth to get this right. So got all my bottom braces down. Now these are to keep the bottom of the form from blowing out. Now what I did is just drilled holes and used concrete screws to nail all these down, screw all these down, excuse me. And all these boards are from when I formed up pouring these piers over there. So they're already kind of coated in concrete, so no big loss. And I'm hoping to save them all. after we pour. Got me another load of gravel. Well, I went ahead and ran to Lowe's and got all the lumber to build my forms. I should say all the lumber to build my forms if I figured correctly anyways. So that was $1,300 for all this lumber. But keep in mind, all this lumber will be used in the framing process or in the build somewhere. So like these 2x12s that I don't use in the framing, I will be using for floor joists for the loft. So none of that money's wasted. Now these 2x4s, these cheapies, a lot of them will probably be sacrificed, be cut up for braces and whatnot. So, but they're cheap enough that that's not too big a deal. I got some of my gravel spread out here. So this gravel here for the lean-to, got it pretty close to grade, but the pad here is still pretty low, so I got some more loads coming in, just waiting on those. Here another load coming. So I cut up a bunch of these at 17 inches long. The whole purpose of these things is I'm going to mount them to that bottom plate just like this, and that way when I bring my form boards in here, I can make some easy adjustments, and also these will be really good at bracing. So I'm going to put these about every 5 feet or so. So the system we're using is, we stuck us a leg down there attached to the bottom plate, and that made it to where we can adjust our form boards up and down to our string line, and then we stick our kickers off out and stake them in the ground. Now it would be best to stagger these form boards for strength, but that would involve cutting more boards, and I really just don't want to ruin that many boards. So what I've been doing is just making a little splice board like this. So every place that these form boards will come together will have this splice. We'll screw them together, and then I'll brace this up real good. So started the next dust bowl and got everything compacted. Now I'll probably come back after it rains and pack this again, but real impressed with the central machinery packer. It's pretty dang good. I did a video on it if you're interested. So let's do a walk around and just look at the forms. So we had to do a little bit of goofy forming to make sure this is all nice. So all looking pretty good. You can see how that's braced up there. Now let's talk about the cost of the day. I spent $1,300 on the lumber to form this and quite a few braces. Also ended up spending about another $300 on stakes and more braces. So I probably own 100 stakes now. And all the gravel, I bought 12 loads, but I ended up only using about 9 of those loads. So I've got a pretty big pile going yonder, but I will be using that to pour broaches and driveways and whatever. Also, one of those loads I bought I ended up putting in the lean-to here. And the total price for those 12 loads of gravel was $3,000. For the amount of rock I got, I feel like that was alright. Just a quick sneak peek at what the next video will be. Plumbing. You'll have to wait for that though. I hope this helps somebody on their own shop build, or help them work through some of the things they're thinking about on their next shop build. We'll see you guys next time.
Keep thinking.